don't know what it is about watching this series, but if I say something, it's going to be directly changed, referenced, or outdid in the next episode. Me and Mike just had a good 4-minute conversation at the end of the last episode about how they shouldn't undo deaths. And then we start the fucking next episode with Charles Xavier being alive.
Now, to be clear, was it ever confirmed that Xavier died?
No, but it is quite a ballsy claim to start your episode off with, I'm giving the X-Men to Magneto because I'm dead. And he's not only just not dead, he is with Lilandra and the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah, that is quite the opposite of dead.
If you would have gave me a million guesses on what we would have started with in the next episode after the last one, I never would have landed on Charles becoming the king of the Shi'ar Empire. We were in space. I'm like, what are we doing?
All that being said, there's not a single thing about this that's bad.
No.
Unexpected? Oh, absolutely.
Through the roof. Like, we had spaceships firing at each other. Like, did they mix the wrong show in? Like, are we 4 episodes later? What the hell are we watching?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, did I play the wrong episode? Like, we got Ronin in there.
Like, we're just have the Shi'ar just fighting the Kree. Also, okay. A little out of order spoiler. We know who's replacing Gambit. Because Nightcrawler is now in the main cast opening credits chunk.
Which, honestly, good for him. I miss seeing Nightcrawler in the intro.
If you're going to have anyone replace Gambit, Nightcrawler's a really solid pick.
Yep.
So, yeah, we had Deathbird, Ronin, I have never heard of Deathbird before.
Me neither.
Unless I'm blanking it. It's a sick name and the costume's awesome. Total bitch. And then again, the Shi'ar Empire. All I remember from the original episode with freaking Charles and the Shi'ar Empire was Lilandra, my mind. Some of those original episode quotes are just, I'll never forget them. They're ingrained in my head with a chisel. But yeah, they're getting ready to be wed, which they act like Charles is going to be her pet, which Charles oddly was pretty okay with from the sounds of it. From that one quote. Yeah, but obviously homicidal maniac sister Deathbird was like, no, we've been peaceful for too long. We need to start killing people again. I said the quiet part out loud. I still like to say in this episode.
See, the writing is just delicious.
Oh, it's so good. And then we get the life-death part from them where they had... I like how they brought back Storm's claustrophobia.
That was a nice touch.
Because I brought up to you earlier on that one of my favorite things ever, when I'm pretty sure it's Jubilee and Storm getting stuck in a thing, and she goes, "Don't worry, child. I will create a snowstorm." Yeah, they're making it like a big thing. Because I don't remember if comics if Storm is claustrophobic, but it was a big thing in the animated series for that episode. Yeah. The adversary is becoming more of a wackadoo the more we go on. Like, it has a ethereal supernatural poison if it bites you. That if it gets to your heart, it will kill you. I'm getting a lot of a Kamega Kill / Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. If anyone understands that reference, I applaud you. Vibes from this. But that was really cool. And the fact that they actually had to have her, them having Storm overcome her fear of claustrophobia, to save Forge, but that being the thing that like gets her in a position with the adversary to where she actually has to get over fearing her own powers and how it pretty much makes her a god.
I honestly, I think this is the best. This is the best way for her to get her powers back.
It is. I will admit, the classic Storm look that she has from comics that she has, I appreciate it. R.I.P. to the Mohawk, because that is my favorite version of Storm.
I knew one of us was going to bring that up.
Damn it! I'm so mad. We had it for a little bit. Fuck, I miss Mohawk Storm already. Hopefully, somehow we get that later on. But glowing, majestic Storm is good too. But I have to admit, I think probably your favorite part of the episode, and it's why we have to talk about why the writing is so good in this. The balls of Deathbird to go, hey, forget everything you learned and everything you ever done on Earth. Mind wipe yourself if you want to marry my sister.
And Xavier's like, hey, I have a better idea. How about no?
How about no? And then he just goes, oh yeah, I have the best power of anyone. Everyone shut up, literally says, hey, class is in session. And then Gladiator just, whatever. You need to raise your hand if you're going to speak to me. And then Tamara's Deathbird, again, because she didn't raise her hand. I was like, we can't have characters being brought back from the dead. I mean, like, I miss Charles so much.
This was a statement. Him coming back and be like, yeah, class is in session.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. I don't know how to feel about this. So you get one per show, X-Men 97, but I have to bring up something that was overly obvious. Well, the lesson with him showing about how the Shi'ar Empire is a bunch of hypocrites. Or like, your entire civilization is built off of kneecapping people and then making you have to help them because you made them think they were useless in the first place. You then have Xavier get psychically, I want to say, barraged because he felt a disturbance in the Force and a dead Gambit shows up. Earlier in this episode, he is talking to Gladiator and references a great friend of his named Magnus that Gladiator probably would have liked. He didn't get attacked with a version of a dead Magneto.
Yeah, I thought about that. I wonder if creatively they chose someone who the audience was a little bit more emotionally attached with.
Now, I get that because they're either getting audience emotional attachment or Charles, which would have been Magneto. Now, this means one of two things. Either they're going to bring Magneto back, which I hope they aren't, because I hope that, again, they literally haven't replaced in the opening credits. Both those, in my opinion, those deaths should stick for emotional value, especially with Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
So one means they're either bringing him back, or two, they're going to wait to have him find out that he's dead for when the X-Men tell him.
Oh no. I don't think I'm ready for that reveal.
And they're going to have to tell him that he kept his word the entire time and actually tried to lead the X-Men well. Now, here's the thing. Are we going to have... How do I want to say this? Are we going to have Charles wanting to have taken a break from Earth and be with Lilandra and then told Magneto before he faked his death that I'm giving you the X-Men, be the person I knew you could be, and Magneto knew the whole time that he wasn't dead? And then Charles is going to talk about that. And then Charles faking his own death to go live some life was a factor in his friend actually dying.
It's a lot of heavy stuff that they're going to have to address one way or the other.
Now, I know how I said at the beginning of this episode, how when I say things, especially with this season, it's been me having that exact thing I said thrown in my face. So I was very careful to say 4 different possibilities in this for a bunch of things, so that I don't feel like as much of a dinkbag when that exact one thing that I said comes true in the next episode. One other thing we've been wondering about this entire show, and we're now on episode 6. I believe we only have 4 episodes left.
Correct.
I believe they said there was 10. I think we're pretty well certain now that the main villain's going to be Sinister.
Yep.
Because we had Bolivar Trask again, just showing up and saying that he gave his DNA to the Master Mold, or him, so he could access Master Mold. So Genosha was completely on Sinister.
Yeah. So if it wasn't clear before, this episode, or at least the ending, makes it clear Sinister is the big bad.
Mm-hmm. And now we're just done with Bolivar Trask. He got 2 minutes, if I'm being generous.
Between this episode and the premiere.
Yeah. We're just done.
I mean, if we're being completely honest, all Trask is there for is to get the Sentinels off the ground.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me how they're perfectly okay with just going, we're not going to do whatever. No, if a character's done, we're killing them. This is a lot of no holds barred writing from the show. It's not, if we want them back later or whatever. No, we did our storyline with that character. They're dead.
And that's why I think the writers are not done with, well, they're definitely not done with Xavier, because they even kind of foreshadow something that he says, like, to Lilandra, like, he pretty much implies that I don't want to go back to Earth unless there's something, unless there are lessons that still need to be taught.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to have some lessons to teach when he finds out Magneto died. Because Magneto had a lot of time. Magneto had 5 seasons worth before we got to this in the original show. I believe it was 5 seasons or something like that. It was a crazy long amount of time. And now I thought we might not get Xavier and we were going to finally have Scott lead the X-Men. But now Xavier's back and he's going to have to deal with Jean Grey and Madeline, Scott being in the middle of them, Rogue having lost both of her love interests, Jubilee and Sunspot, Wolverine. Somehow Wolverine, who was basically the star of the original, has done the least in 6 episodes.
And that's a good thing, because Wolverine has been the star of every X-Men everything.
He has. It's just weird that he's the legit only person at this point outside of Morph, who's holy shit going to have one, because his entire big thing was that he was a Sinister in the original series, that doesn't have a single storyline going at all.
We'll see something from him eventually.
And then you're going to have, and he's going to have to deal with Storm just getting her powers back, and Forge, which I'm assuming is going to come back with her, and he's going to have to learn that not just Gambit died and Magneto, that Genosha was torched. Maybe he doesn't ever want to think about leaving Earth again. That's going to be a whole lot of guilt he's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take, not all that's going to be his fault. But survivor's guilt's going to be in there real bad.
Yeah, that's the thing about survivor's guilt. It's not it's not very logical. It is very, he's going to be feeling a lot of things.
It's the worst form of guilt there is.
Yep.
Because no one can ever, how do I want to say this? No one can ever prove you wrong that you couldn't have done something better in some of those situations. And no one can properly, I want to say, in most situations, 100% tell you that you should have been the one to make it out of that situation. It's one of the hardest guilts to get out of. Because there's no surefire yes or no answer in any situation with survivor's guilt. It's a really hard to win situation.
Yeah.
It's not even more of a guilt you get rid of. It's kind of one you just learn to deal with. It sucks, but it's one thing you really never get rid of. It's just kind of buried with hopefully a lot of counseling.
Yeah.
But yeah, this proves to show that in writing anything, period, oh boy, do they have to step their game up. Because I understand you can write a lot in a series over a movie, but almost every one of these outside of that two-parter has been a self-contained movie.
Yeah.
A lot of these have about 2 seconds that tie it into the next episode. These are all kind of little self-contained stories that have one or two things from the original. And it's not as much pulling off of it. It's this is really good. And any especially show they have going forward, they're gonna always have someone going, you made an X-Men cartoon better than this. And give or take, this is a very adult thing made into an animated form, but that is going to be the insult thrown their way. That the best thing on your platform is an animated X-Men cartoon.
This didn't just raise the bar. It threw the bar up into the air. Like
It threw it in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Every character is so well fleshed out. They all have genuine human emotion. They don't feel like fake things. They feel like legit, actual characters with emotions. This is the same world from a 90s cartoon written as if it's on an adult network.
Yep.
Which is going to feel really weird because this is going to be the only X-Men thing we have before Deadpool.
Yeah. This is going to be weird. I'm not sure I'm ready for that tonal whiplash.
I gotta wonder if they're just going to bring up I gotta wonder if at some point they're going to bring up the fact that the only other X-Men thing going on for Marvel's a cartoon. They had to know it was going to be coming out around the same time, and that it was in the works. And like the director has point blank said that there's going to be parts of it where he's like discussing Secret Wars theories while on a cell phone. Like, but yeah, this show is insanely good. I had a hard time believing that in the current day that they were going to make a good animated series after Earth's Mightiest Heroes because, and I will die on this hill. Anyone that says Avengers Assemble is better than Earth's Mightiest Heroes is lying to themselves wholesale. Avengers Assemble sucked ass.
I literally have no idea who even thinks that.
I had multiple people that tell me it's like, you're just missing the old stuff. The animation was better and the stories was exactly the same. And like, if you watched any of it, you can see they changed canon events and the animation sucked ass. All the story, there was no personality. It was just immediately a total shift into we had to be adults town now. And it wasn't like actually having fun with storylines. You finally had the Justice League cartoon for Marvel. And it just went, nah, not anymore. We were doing too good with that. And don't say no, it was like Unlimited. No, because Unlimited was just the same thing, just they didn't do two-parters every time. They just did all sorts of random shit. That was actually the same show.
Yeah, Assembled is about as good as some of the less remembered 80s cartoons based on movies.
Yeah, it's just not good. Just really, really not good. And like, and I was just like, they need to make a better team version of like this stuff. And just this also shows to me just how hard Fox fumbled the bag with X-Men. You had a property that you could have made whole slates out of. Just in this, they've done more than they've done in I think like, I don't know, 13, 14 movies.
Yep.
All of this stuff, they covered more and better. And you could have just toned down the amount of X-Men you had and done good stories. You have enough to where you could have built out a universe easily. You could have had whole adventures with X-Force, done a trilogy of that. You could have done freaking random stuff with Krakoa. You had so much, but Fox did did not give a shit. You had years of that. And now, as much as I don't think they need to be shoved in everything, you're probably only going to get an X-Men movie once every 4 years. If you're lucky.
I don't think they even really knew what they had.
No. Versus with Spider-Man, where they know what they have, and they could not give a shit less what they try to make out of it. Give or take, you could make like a Black Cat movie. Could see that, a heist thriller, whatever. Silver Sable, a espionage movie in a foreign country with all of her freaking militants and shit like that. Those you could do. Madam Web? Morbius? And now Craven. Good Lord, we're going to review it, but dear God, Sony, after a while, just stop. I'm going to be so happy that we're getting that third Venom movie because it's the only thing you can do right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I know some people didn't like Let There Be Carnage as most as others. I will say it's not as good as Venom, the first one, but it's still good. But guess what? No one is saying it is the dog shit that those other two standalone movies were. You ever notice why the only good movies they can make now are produced by Marvel?
Or the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with their stupid horseshit plans. I'm terrified for when they eventually want to try and make a freaking Morales movie. I'm terrified. Outright terrified. Because I don't know who they're going to give him for a villain. They're going to try and force feed some Peter Parker villain into it because they won't use one of his originals. Some people might not know. He has some originals, and they're kind of cool. Because you want to know what one of his villains should be in the first movie? Prowler.
Yeah.
And he should be played by Donald Glover. Which he's openly kind of said, yeah, I'll probably play him if he's in the live-action Miles Morales movie.
It needs to happen.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, this is really good. Step your game up, Marvel. You can't go back below this. Nope. If you're not going to match this quality, don't make a show again. In live action, at least. If you cannot match the quality of writing in this, don't do it. And that is not me saying that I hated the other stuff that's come before this. I'm just telling you that this is what it needs to be at. This is just good, well thought out, followed through with writing. And it's not exactly breaking the bank on ideas. It's just knowing the characters and following through with them.
All right, Daredevil, the ball's in your court.
Oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Because that's going to be one where you want to know what? It could be really good and just not what people wanted, and people are still going to say it's ass.
Yeah. If it is even 1 degree less than Daredevil season 3, people are going to hate it.
Yep. And you want to know what the first thing they're going to say was? This is worse than Iron Fist. I can already see the comments. Just because no one in the fucking internet space of talking about stuff, I'm trying to swear less of these, but I'm sorry, this just irritates me so much. No one can use any type of descriptors unless they're using hyperbole.
Nope.
We just can't. Nothing can just be in the middle. It has to be dog shit served on vomit or on a gold platter from God. It cannot be in the middle ever. And if it is in the middle, that means it's worse than bad somehow.
Not sure how that math works, but
how it works, no. But if you call something mid, that just somehow means it's terrible, more terrible than being bad. YouTube was the worst thing to ever happen. I realize that I'm a part of a group of people that uses it to talk, but it's one of the worst things to ever happen. Social media was the worst thing the world ever got. It's up there because lies about the world and politics and everything else is just the worst. It's just the worst. And I realize I use it to help myself, but still it sucks. Anyway, Mike, any predictions before next week?
I'm afraid to say anything because I know I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be terribly wrong.
I don't even know what they're starting off with because I don't know how long it's going to be before Charles gets back to Earth.
Yeah, next week might be a filler episode until the 3-part finale.
That's right. It's a 3-part finale. My God. Well, we'll be doing it on time this week. So it'll be, wow, I forgot that was a 3-part finale. All right, let's get out of here. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me everywhere on Twitch, YouTube, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. And later this year, check my Instagram because I'll be going to like 3 cons within the space of 3 months. And I'll have cosplay photos up and hopefully my newer cosplay. We'll see if it gets done by that time. Good God, I hope so. But all right. Anyways, until next time, you'll see you all later.